All right, have not fans. Here's the review for last night's episode, season 8, episode 6, The Family's Name. Yeah, I was right with how the episode would turn out in regards to the title, The Malones. So go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. This was a decent episode, but I wouldn't say it was as good as last week. I give it a 6 out of 10. Again, not bad, but not as good as last week. We pick up where we left off. Tanner's beating Justin for, the 20th time since he's been introduced in the show. He tells Justin to sit at the table, shows him the file folder that Veronica gave him. And I was wrong, actually. I assumed that Tanner went to the police station to confirm whether or not these stories were true, these allegations were true of Justin assaulting people. But no, he gave Justin an out to tell him if it's true or not. But look, they were addicts, Tanner. They'd lie. And Tanner's like, oh, I get it. So the people you end up assaulting in your car are people who nobody will believe because of their criminal or health records or whatever. So he leaves the apartment and I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not lying. Can we get rid of this character already? All right. So we go over to Mitch and Landon. Landon's nervous. What did he say? Like, make eye contact or it's bad sex or something like that. Long story short, Mitch just wants to know what is going on between Charles and Candace and whether or not it's love. Basically, the New Edition song, if it isn't love. And Landon kind of gives the information about how, here's why I want them to be together. They're in love. Mitch is like, all right, fine. So he leaves and Landon with the $57 tab gets up to leave, shakes hand. Hey, buddy, I'll keep in touch. Talk to you soon. You got my number. It seems like Mitch is like planning a long game here. But at the same time, I laughed my ass off when Landon was like, I can't believe I was so close to screwing him alone. And then Mitch is like, no, you weren't. And the theme song came on. I laughed my ass off. I got a genuine laugh out of that. No joke. That was actually pretty funny. So we got Celine cleaning Wyatt's room in the hospital. And this is yet again another scene as to why, okay, based on this scene alone, I would not be mad about Celine losing her job. Yes, Wyatt was an arrogant, spoiled brat, disowning his half-siblings. But at the same time, why show respect to the woman, the maid, who was screwing your father, a.k.a. causing an affair under the roof that your family lived in? Celine had no business being in that room doing what she was doing, aside from cleaning. The smack talk wasn't necessary. So, after calling out Wyatt for being just like Jim, she leaves because she'll get somebody else to clean the room. The police officer, is seeing that Wyatt's doing better and just basically saying, oh, you're going back to jail. No, I'm not feeling better. You'll see, I'm going to rehab. Oh, that's what you think's going to happen, huh? And this cop is a bit too smug, and I'm like, I wonder if he's working for someone. It didn't, hit me until I realized, oh, the next scene we got Vinnie calling around about Mitch, as to whether or not, he's been using the family name without obviously letting the family know. Basically providing protection just by laying down the Malone name without permission. So Tony comes in. We haven't seen Tony Malone in a while. And he tells Vinnie that Wyatt is alive. And guys, in case you're wondering, the cop that Vinnie shot directly in the head is alive as well. And Vinnie's like, fine, I go to the hospital to check on them both to see, what's going on. Since, I want to see who's going to be talking and who's not. And Tony pretty much tells him like, hey, that's a bad move. Mama Rose never got her hands dirty. When Mama Rose is my age, she did. And I'm not Mama Rose. Once again, this is showing me Vinny's going to end up blowing. It's all going to blow up in his face because he's too arrogant. He doesn't seem to be willing to listen to anybody else's advice. It's like, hey, I'm running the show now. Watch how you talk to me. Here's how I'm doing things. Shut up about it. So from there, Tony tells him that, Mitch isn't there and, Vinny's going to take care of things himself. So Catherine calls Hannah and Catherine does not want to give Jim $500,000. And if Jim decides to come over to threaten or bother Hannah again, evict him. And here's something that confused me. Hannah's like, I can't evict that man from his house. Hannah, that's my house. Well, you know what I mean. And I'm like, it seemed odd that Hannah would show sympathy, but not just sympathy, but say that I can't kick that man out of his house. And it's like, Hannah has never, and I mean never, even since season 1, said something like that. She's always made it clear, oh, Catherine has more money than Jim. This is her family's fortune. This is her mansion, the property, yada, yada, yada. But now all of a sudden she says Jim's house. I mean, maybe it was a slip of the tongue, but it just seemed extremely out of character, even if it was for that one moment. I don't know. I mean, that just kind of bothered me just a little bit. So after that, let's see. She'll try to handle things peacefully, and I'm like, wait, what? How are you going to handle it peacefully when you threaten to blow the man's brains out? I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but it's like Hannah's at it. I'm not saying I want Hannah to bust everybody upside the head, but it just seemed like her demeanor felt a bit off. But that's just me compared to everything we've seen from her so far this season. She brings up the Veronica debt, and basically Hannah's going to handle it personally. So let's see how that turns out. And essentially, Hannah is kind of like David in regards of how Catherine is like, hey, here's a list of things I need you to handle if possible. There's a girl in here that reminds me of Amanda. I need to, get in contact with a lawyer to help her. I need to see about Wyatt, and I need to see about getting out of here myself. So, yeah, I'm not saying that Catherine treats Hannah exactly like how Jim treats David, but there's almost that servitude thing of like the nice black person who would help out. So, I don't know. Circumstances are different, but at the same time, when you look at the core, it's pretty much the same thing. And now, we get to, you know what? Look, I'm trying my best not to go back to the negative Ned, not negative Nancy, Jeremy, where I just rant instead of review. But yet again, I couldn't care less about the Colby and Jeffrey and Justin stuff. But I called my mom earlier today, and she said she didn't watch the entire episode, but she didn't mind what she did see. So it was halfway decent to her as well. But she was just sitting there saying the same things I was. Basically, we're doing the same thing because my mom has not been watching the show in a while. Like, I mean, a long time. And then when she's watching it, and she's like, wait, they're still doing that whole thing where Justin's blowing up Jeffrey's phone and, they're talking about the money and this and that. And she said exactly what I was saying. Like, if Jeffrey doesn't want to answer the phone, cut it off like that boy was saying Colby. Not to mention, doesn't he know how to just change his phone number? I mean, hell, he told Wyatt that a few episodes ago, where Wyatt was like, don't call me, I'm not going to call you either. Well, I changed my phone number. I don't really know what to say. Well, I can't cut it off, my dad might call. Again, get a new phone or change your number. But in any case, Justin had called 67 times and left messages. Begs the question, he probably filled up Jeffrey's voicemail, and he continues to call. So Colby thinks he can get Justin to leave him alone, and then there was kind of a back and forth about the burnt coffee. How'd you burn coffee? That was a funny line, but basically we know that Colby wants a piece of Jeffrey, but yeah. So in any case, we go over to Celine and her superior at the hospital. Basically, she's not talking to anyone until her lawyer gets there. She calls Veronica to come on down. She'll be there in about 45 minutes. And drama and tacos, because, there had to be at least one Veronica zinger in there somewhere. We go over to David and Jim. No luck with David talking with the Malones. Jim had a key, and that's why he went over to Hannah's place alone. And David told him about not doing that because you went over there all by yourself. Because ain't no telling what Hannah's capable of. So, in any case, man, David doesn't want to have anything to do with Hannah being killed. But at the same time, Jim wants David to go over there to seduce Hannah in order to get power of attorney. But not necessarily do so, but just go over there, ask some questions. I see the way she looks at you. Use those brown eyes. And then I did like the line where it's like, because Jim, I don't want you to play the pimp. That was good. But they did have a nice little back and forth about, is your arm still hurting? Is your back still hurting? Because your son tried to kill you. My wife tried to kill me. And here we are standing here. My back is fine. I'm going to let the back thing go because it makes no sense. But whatever. David's back feels good despite the fact that he almost got blown up. Oh well. So, Justin keeps calling. Jeffrey finally answers. Just like Gary from Sisters, instead of getting directly to the point, his jealousy shows. You're Madison, aren't you? No, MF, just tell Jeffrey what's going on with your brother and his mother, and that's it. No. He basically is, I want to see you. I need a friend. You can help me. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to end my life. I just called to say goodbye. Jeffrey's like, okay, see you later. Bye. He's like, who's that? That was Colby talking. I love you so much. I love you. And Jeffrey, I'm going to kill myself in a way that you'll see. And then Colby wants to see, and then he hangs up. And then Colby wants to see what Jeffrey's working with, basically to, I will admit, he was talking for the audience because we've been saying this for a while. What is it about these Harrington men that makes people go nuts, men and women? And he basically suggests that Madison is taking to Jeffrey's favorite restaurant to show him that he cares. And Colby gets a call and he leaves to probably meet up with it, because he's an escort or whatever. All right, 3 scenes left. So, yeah, okay. Let me talk about David first. David goes over to Hannah's place, wants to come in and talk and ask about helping Jim. She says no. And he pretty much follows up from their previous conversation. Hey, you asked me if my mother will be proud of me. And no. And basically she brings up a good question. Why are you doing all this work for Jim? I know you're only over here to talk with me, to get on my good side with one of your many faces. Is this the sweet, kind, gentle David, or the David that's working for Jim, or, what's going on here? Or the one who lied to me to my face about my son being arrested when he was actually railroaded because of one of you and Jim's schemes. And he pretty much talks about how I do this stuff for Jim because he saved my life a few times, and I treat Jim, and I'm a friend to him the same way I would hope he's a friend to me. Obviously he's not, because remember, he wanted Jeffrey to go down for the black sedan hit and run originally. But then David switches it up by flirting with her. I've been attracted to you for a long time. I don't need to rinse and repeat. We've heard this several times in trailers, and I covered it in videos. So they sit down because Hannah wants to hear David tell all. David about how he's been attracted to her for some time now. He's always wanted to get to know her intimately, yada, yada, yada. So Hannah, I don't think she's buying it, but the way she's been acting, it's kind of like, wow. So Vinnie is talking with Sandy. He's looking for Mitch. And basically he's asking Sandy about, what do you know about Vinnie? And Mitch is like, well, it's not like they're together, but Vinnie's like, oh, okay, because they've been friends since they were kids. And he asked Sandy about the Rihanna situation. And Sandy's like, look, you're asking me these questions. I know you're saying I don't need to know a lot of things, even though you're the boss, but how can I help if I don't have information? So basically, Vinnie wants to know if Mitch has been using the family's name to protect the young family. And if Sandy can do this job, it's a way for him to get back into the family's good graces. So the final scene is Vinnie going into Wyatt's room at the hospital, Turns out the security guard works for the Malones, and the episode closes off there. So this was a pretty simplistic episode, not too much to talk about. And to be honest, I don't even think I have a lot of theory videos to do. So that was The Family's Name, 6 out of 10. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree with my score? If you'd like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.